The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope.
If you guys are new to our channel, my name is Doug and my wife's name is Stacy. We live in this log cabin that we built ourselves. We left the city 14 years ago because we saw all the madness going on. But we came up here so we could learn how to grow food, learn how to live for ourselves, and we teach people how to do it on social media, okay? So a lot of you probably are aware that Tucker Carlson has been let go of Fox, the Murdoch family. I'm going to kind of get into it a little bit here with some investigations that I found. But basically, the bottom line is dissent. Anyone that's going against the program, you guys have to remember during the COVID program, anyone who spoke out against the COVID program, anyone who tried to have any other different narrative than you must have it, you must take the jab, got silenced, deplatformed. And you heard Cortez, the bartender who's in Congress, say that deplatforming works.
Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. What I will say, though, is while I'm very glad that the person that was arguably responsible for some of the largest, driving some of the most amounts of death threats and violent threats, not just to my office, but to plenty of people across the country. I also kind of feel like I'm like waiting for the cutscene at the end of a Marvel movie after all the credits have rolled. And then you see like the villain's like hand reemerge out to grip over like the end of a building or something. But deplatforming works. Deplatforming works. And it is important. And there you go. Good things can happen.
Deplatforming works. You heard it right from the mouth of babes. That's one of the problems we have in America right now is the young folks. They don't understand freedom of speech. They get upset when you say stuff that they don't like or agree with or that is against the agenda. Just like President Trump, anybody who's going to stand up and tell the truth has their neck on the chopping block, right? Because it's going against the agenda. It's going against the plan. This isn't just fumbling along, y'all. There's a timeline, there's a plan, and they're funneling us there. Now, there's a couple things that I found out about Tucker Carlson. A, he's very outspoken, right? Like a lot of y'all probably watch Tucker Carlson, and you're trying to get the truth on what's going on, and he's been kind of giving it to you, like really giving you some good, hard truth. And the upper people, the upper programs do not like that, okay? And Tucker Carlson also, if you guys remember a little while ago, he talked about the JFK assassination, John F. Kennedy, right? And he kind of was pointing the finger at the CIA, right? Now, there's an unwritten rule. I don't know. I found this out during my investigations, but there's an unwritten rule that journalists were not allowed to talk about, or did they talk about, the JFK assassination. And then all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson brings it up, and caused quite a bit of a stir there for a little bit. If you guys remember, all of a sudden, all the records were going to be released, and then President Trump released some of them, but not all of them. Now, President Biden has released no more. So there was a lot going on with that. Also, man, this stuff, you almost can't make this stuff up. I don't know if this is 100% legitimate, but I bet it's pretty good. All right, BlackRock owns 59 million shares. 59 million shares of Dominion, which is, I guess that's the voting machine company, right? That's under question, that we're trying to get out of our country so we can get back to paper ballots, so we can have integrity in our elections. But BlackRock owns 45.7 million shares of Fox. BlackRock sued itself to fire Tucker Carlson as part of the lawsuit. So I just found that on the internet. I thought it was interesting. I'll have to do some more research to verify that, but I would not doubt it. Also, Vanguard is another BlackRock affiliate and owns a lot of shares in BlackRock. I mean, those two companies right now are working lockstep with the NWO, which is New World Order. And I know this sounds crazy, right? We've been hearing about the NWO since the Bush days. Wonder why. Bottom line here is they're trying to squeeze out the conservatives. Now, phase 2 of the operation of silencing Tucker Carlson on Fox, if you guys remember, he gave President Trump a lot of airtime. Okay, so we're seeing Soviet-style socialism, fascism, communism right in our face here in America, okay? They are silencing the opposition, bringing up lawsuits against this man left and right, trying to clog him up in the courts. This is all, Soviet-style stuff, right? They brought out Biden, who is the old guy. That's what they do in the Soviet-style run government. They bring out the old familiar face, and then all the puppets behind the puppet master, the strings are being pulled by everybody else while he just walks around and, smells people, right? So we have to wake up to this stuff, okay? They're silencing the majority. That's why America is not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. But yet every one of our leaders, supposed leaders or elected officials, they always stand on the TV or, anywhere they are, and they say, this is for democracy. We're fighting for democracy. And that's a word play. They're word playing the word democracy, okay, because we're not a democracy, but that's how they usher in the democracy of mob rules. The thing is what are we to do, right? The news networks are all owned by the adversary. China owns a lot of them. These companies are all owned by the adversary, people that do not like America, that want to bring America down so they can usher in the global citizen and the world order, where a few people, just like they're trying to do now, are running the whole show. So what are we going to do? My wife and I decided we were going to take matters into our own hands. We bought some land. We grow our own food. We live apart from the system, so to speak. We're not reliant on the system. And we try to teach people how to do that, how to live a more sustainable lifestyle where you're not dependent. The other day, this is kind of funny, but the other day I was thinking, most people don't even have a way to have water. Like, the most important thing in your life to keep you alive would be the water. Most people are fully dependent on 100% on tap water. And then after the tap water, it's 100% reliable on bottled water at the store. So that might be something that you want to think about, either storing some water, having a reserve of water, or finding a way to have alternative water, like we live 100% off rainwater. And I'll go into that on a future video on how we're managing that. And we can only do the best that we can with what we have and the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Okay, so make sure you guys are trying to find alternative ways to take care of your sustenance, like what you actually need to live 100%. Otherwise, you're going to have to fall fall prey or, fall victim to whatever they say. Just let that sink in for a second. if you're in America, you know that our country was built on the independent spirit, not on groupthink. So please, I'm just saying, find ways to, if you live in an apartment, you can have microgreens, right? You can have a closet full of bottled water, so at least you'd be able to give yourself some water. And the microgreens provide a lot of nutrition, and you can grow them right on your counter. Stacy has some videos on microgreens. We're going to be doing more videos coming up on microgreens. So that's a great way that you guys can get nutrition if you don't have a yard to grow in. I know people that have actually went and knocked on a neighbor's door. If you lived in an apartment, you could go to the neighborhood behind your place and knock on a door and just be like, I would love to set up a couple of garden boxes in the backyard. I will cut the grass, I will maintain the garden boxes, and I will share the bounty with you. And I know people that have actually successfully done that. I know one fellow who rode his bicycle to neighbor to neighbor to neighbor and actually built a business where he grew in all their yards and then took that produce to the farmer's market and sold it for a profit. And actually fed the folks that let him grow food in the yard, okay? So there's workarounds, but you guys are going to have to get inventive, and you're going to have to really spend time learning how you can move the needle. Instead of just being stuck, you have to learn how you can move the needle, because there's lots of ways that you can become more self-sufficient, more independent, no matter where you are. And if you already have a little bit of property, or if you've been looking for your property, now is a great time to start focusing, and I guess you would say investing on yourself, making sure that you have the things and your family has the things that they need to survive. Because if this stuff, even if it gets worse than it is, right? I mean, inflation's really high. People making $100,000 a year, they're saying, are living check to check. I actually know some of those people. I mean, it's the great setup. Okay, everything at the store costs more money, so it's draining the funds that you've been saving or that you were trying to use for other things. Some people have lost their jobs because they've stood up for what was right, and so we just have to find other ways, And plus, we're actually going to have to exercise, some of our amendment rights and get out there and protest this stuff. There's not anything going on as far as people voicing their opinions. And we're doing it on social media, but then they can just hit the switch. So also, make sure you're on our email newsletter, because we send out emails to folks. We let you guys know what's going on. It's a great way to keep in touch, okay? I just wanted to bring to you this Tucker Carlson thing. I didn't know if you guys understood that BlackRock and Vanguard are huge behind-the-scenes movers and shakers, all right? Murdoch, can you imagine a guy like Murdoch, who owns Fox News, gets rid of his number one strongest horse in the whole lineup? I mean, you have to see that there has to be an alternate reality. I mean, seriously, it just doesn't happen. So he had to have some external pressures, and Tucker Carlson has to be getting too close to the truth. All right? If you guys haven't hit that thumbs up already, hit that thumbs up on the way out. Now it's time for us to start building on our high tunnel. It's a high tunnel. It's basically a way that you can grow food almost, it's indoors. And you can have a little longer season. You can start earlier in the year, finish later in the year. And we're going to show you guys the whole process of building one of these high tunnels. And then as we go through this year, we're going to show you the food that we're able to grow in it and the whole process. So hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to our channel. You might find that pretty interesting. And hit the thumbs up if you haven't. And we'll see you on the next video. And leave a comment down below if you thought about the JFK angle, because he did, you guys go look it up, he did blast it all over the place about the suspicions that the government was actually involved in that stuff. And then also, because he's just getting too close to the truth, let me know if you knew about BlackRock and Vanguard owning large swaths of Fox News. All right? And that's the other trick bag that we're in, is that the stocks, which I'll go into another video maybe, but those are all going to be used, because people can buy them up, to shut up the companies and to funnel you into tyranny. And you're seeing it right before your eyes. All right, we'll see you guys on the next video.
Did Did you guys know that in the 16, 17, and 1800s, chocolate was consumed as a beverage? There was no such thing as a chocolate candy bar. Well, we're bringing chocolate tea back to the 21st century because it's loaded with antioxidants our body loves, and it's a great source of magnesium that's wonderful for bone and heart health. It's a great addition to your coffee machine or your French press, or just along with your favorite sweetener. You can find it on offgridwithdougandstacy.com, along with our brand new tea infuser, simple to use for easy steeping. Cheers!